to Aaron Plays. This will be episode 3 of my solo playthrough of a Guiscard scenario. Scenario being played is scenario 1, The Evening Precipitate. Hi there. So this will be turn 3 of the first scenario in the Guiscard 2 box. Two factions, you've got the Normans and the Germans. The Germans are trying to keep as many of the guys on this hill alive. The more that stay alive, the more the level of victory. The Normans are trying to kill them before these guys, the ones I've highlighted in yellow, come and rescue them. So I will now minimize myself, take myself off the screen, have a look at the overall situation. They started with 6 of these dismounted German Swabian knights, and the level of victory is determined by how many of them are surviving. 4 or more by the end of turn 12, we're only at turn 3. Germans win. 2 to 3 of them surviving, it's a draw. 1 or less, and it's a Norman victory. Currently, all 6 are still alive. Now, this guy's wounded and this guy's currently stunned. The relieving force, which is the guys in yellow, and the Normans that they're involved in the melee, they've lost 2 of their javelinmen to Norman knights, and the Normans have lost 2 of their actual knights, 1 to javelins, the other one's to overwhelming melee from these guys. So turn 3, starting again with the Germans. Preservation of these guys is they're going to move away from these javelin men, and this guy here is trapped at the present moment because he can't move due to the terrain conditions here. He can't cross this hex side, or this hex side. Is it worth rescuing him? It would actually require quite a bit of effort on the Germans' point of view to get him out of there. But that's obviously an option. So we're going through the sequence of play. We have an offensive fire phase as the first thing. Do we want to fire any of these javelin men? Well, you can't fire if you start adjacent to anybody. So he can't fire at all, and neither can he. So the only one who can actually shoot is this guy. And let's see, he's one line of sight rules. He's on that slope. Can he actually see him? It doesn't, he's on the slope hex side itself. If he'd been down here, the answer would be no. But as he's on the slope, I believe he can, but I will check that further. Whilst as an exception, shooting is possible when the character on the lower level is on the slope hex itself. He can then shoot, but he can also be shot at because he's considered then to be halfway up the slope. Okay, so he can shoot and he will shoot. It's range of 3, so there is an impact die roll to this. Let's have a look. Oh, that's bang on target. Okay, remember that there's a +1 to the effect because of the armor. Ding! It bounces off. And I'll now mark him as fired, offensive fired, and we'll also mark him as 1 javelin less, so he's now down to J2. Okay. And I said these other 2 can't fire due to them being adjacent to enemy. Okay. So that's the offensive fire. We then would go at the carry charge, but as I said in prior videos, there's no carry charge in this scenario. So we're then into movement. So what to do? Do we peel off some of these guys to come and try and help over here? Well, I think that might be the best policy, and maybe the best ones to do that would be these 2 mounted guys over here. So let's do that. So movement potential, again, going just through the figures here. First one's their attack value, defense value, movement value. That's the three numbers that are on the counter. Okay, mounted guys, that arrow dictates which is the front of the counter. So it's 1, 2. You move through any of your three frontal hexes. So 3, 4, 5. Going up slope, I believe it's +4. Mounted guys, yes. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 9, 10. You only play for the front of the counter. 11. We'll shift him around that way. 12. 13. We'll then turn him that wrong way. That way. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12. So he's not going to get there this round. Okay, I think the rest of these will engage the Norman Knights. Just try and stop them going up the slope there. Javelin guys, well, we've just seen in the prior episode in turn 2 that these guys are no match at all for the Knights. So I think they need to get out of the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just backing off does not give them the right to be attacked by infiltration rules. It's only if you move from one hex to another hex. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some missile support down here. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That just leaves the Knights up here. As I said a few moments ago, let's send a few of these guys. Now, 1 there, 1 there. Let's get those 2 involved. And then back the rest off. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The stun guy will stand up in them at the end of the round. Well, that'll conclude the movement. So let's have some combat. I think the first one we'll determine is these 3 here versus this knight. So attack value of 16 plus 14 is 30, plus 7 is 37 versus 13. 27, 24 differential. They don't get a bonus column shift because it's would have to be mounted guys versus mounted guys to get the column shift. But we're in the 21 to 30 column. There's a +1 to this die roll because he is armored. That is a 2. Ouch. That's a H result. 1 rider killed and dismounted, horse unharmed. I have a variable on the die rolls, just as a little note on the variables. Okay, so a 1 is, as you can see, H, rider killed. If it rolled a 10, that's a B. All attackers retreat 1 hex. So the die roll does make a big swing from rider killed, effectively defender killed, 1 rider killed and dismounted, horse unarmed, to attackers retreat. All on the same column, all the dice. So the dice do make it a bit swingy. But it's a skirmish game. So the horse remains. Increase. Okay, and let me go and find the guy. And now, because one of his attackers can advance up to half his movement rate. So he can advance one into there. Now, moving on to a horse. This doesn't cost any movement points. 2, 3. Okay. That got him out of dodge for the timing, and obviously killing a Norman knight. Big bonus. Right. So then we've got this guy attacking this unarmored javelinman. So attack value of 24 versus 5. So that's 19 differential against foot. There's no modifiers for die roll, for armor. So it's a straight roll. It's a 6 on the combat against infantry column. That's a D result. 1 defender stunned. Okay, so decrease him. He slumps down at that point. All right. Okay, so then we'll have these two attacking this guy here. So 22 plus 24 is 46. Take away 12, 46, 34. 34 differential against mounted. Okay, and they do get a column shift because there are 2 mounted guys versus a mounted guy. So what's called the 51 to 70 column. And then there's a +1 modifier because he is armored. So 7 becomes an 8 result. On this column is an E, which equals 1 rider stunned and dismounted. Horse killed. Stunned and dismounted. Right, okay. Let me get the counters for that. Okay. So stunned, the horse is dead. I think this guy here, I could have had these 2 attack him, but I think as he's stunned, let's finish him off. Now, a stunned character offers effectively no defense. 24 versus, well, he's got 1. 24 to equal 1 is 23 column. The attacker can't be effective. Any result on here that has an effect on the attacker will be ignored, and any result on the defender will normally now result in a kill. So 24 column, 21 to 30. Okay. It's still armored. +1 on the dice. 6 becomes a 7. Is a D. 1 defender stunned. He's already stunned. I'll just double check, but I think that's a kill. It did take a little bit of time to find it. Under the retreat rules, just say important, and it's highlighted in red, but it still took a bit of time to find it. A stunned or wounded character dies immediately if wounded or stunned again. So, where's my mouse? There it is. Okay, so he is now dead. Right, which means one of these guys, or this guy here, can advance, and he will advance into there. Okay. This guy will then decline. You don't have to attack, so he will decline combat there. So that ends the German turn. Over to, oh, no, it doesn't. Stunned characters can now stand up. So he's back okay. So at the present moment, the Germans haven't actually lost anybody, but they have a few wounded. So over to the Normans' turn. Offensive fire from the Normans. This guy is stunned, so he can't fire. This guy will fire. In fact, we'll have a couple of guys shooting here. So this guy's within 2 hexes, so he doesn't have to roll for impact, so it's a straight roll. Okay, +1 because he's armored. 3 becomes a 4 on the missile fire against mounted guys on the javelin table. 4, no cover, not mounted, he's a dismounted guy, so it's a 4. That's a B. Character wounded. So he becomes wounded. Okay, let's remove all the move markers. All right, and then we'll just change his ammo. He's offensive fired. And his ammo, change label, he's now down at 2 javelins. Okay. This guy will fire at the wound guy with 3 hexes, so he must make an impact roll. Is the impact roll? He rolls a 7. It's short, isn't it? It is. Fortunately, it landed. His javelin landed just there. He didn't put enough throw into it. Yeah, there's no effect to short range. Archers and slingers get a bonus, but javelins not. So he was a bit weedy in his throw of the javelin. So let's just mark his ammo. So he's offensive fired and change label down to 2. Okay. Now this guy here, check line of sight. Whoops. Want to remove all the mark counters. That's to check them up. Okay, that's fine. In actual fact, he'll target this guy, which is even easier. Okay, so he's 4 hexes, so impact roll. That's a 10. That actually means he's this guy was less than enthusiastic in his throw. This guy's over enthusiastic in his show. He actually throws 1 hex. Sometimes Windows dictates what it wants to do. He throws over. So he's actually hit this guy. All right, so impact +1 on this dice for the impact roll. 2 becomes a 3 on javelin. No cover, so that is a B result. Character wounded. These javelins are starting to take a bit of an effect here. Okay, and so that's his offensive fire. And he's now J = 2. Oh, J = 3. That's his first shot. Okay. And this guy, well, he might as well fire as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still short range for a javelin. Javelin's short range is 1 to 5. So he'll fire at this wounded guy. Impact roll. That's a 9. So it doesn't actually hit this guy. Coming in at this angle. So 10 would be that guy. It's this guy here. Effect die roll at +1. 8 becomes a 9. I believe that's off the chart. It is. That's a miss. So ding! Guy blocks it with his shield. Okay. So we'll just change his label from J4 to J3. So he's got 3 javelins remaining. And he is also offensive fired. So that's the offensive fire phase. No cavalry charges, so movement phase. I think we'll move these guys up so they don't have to make impact rolls if these guys, these ones decide not to move away. We've also seen they are quite vulnerable in the open. So Right. Stun guy can't move. Right. The other Norman knights. Okay, so we've just seen what can happen here. These dismounted knights are still quite tough. So what are the Normans to do? They're starting to actually run out of guys. They've got 1, 2. They're down here. This guy's feeling a little bit trapped. It's these guys we need to kill. Javelin men seem to be doing okay. Horses such as this, which have no rider, can be just gently pushed or nudged out of the way. So this rider here is going to go 1, 2, and force this horse back. There, so he can get in there. I wish that terrain stopped coming up. This guy's going to go and move on to there. We can start lobbing javelins this way. Okay. Other than that, I think the rest of them have got to carry on being embroiled in this melee down here. So, 1, turn him around. 6, 7, 8. Okay. As you can see, I mean, this is turn 3, and there have already been significant casualties on both sides. It is quite a brutal combat system. I suppose that's the nature of skirmish games in general, but yeah, there's quite a few losses here. Now, this knight here is going to go from that hex to that hex. Now, is there an infiltration combat from this guy? Quite in the rules, it quite clearly says this rule only applies to hexes are being crossed. It's not necessary to perform a test for movements of 1 hex only. Okay, so that is a 1 hex move. So the answer then is no. I think that concludes the Norman's move into the combat. Right, so we're going to start over here with this mounted chap fighting this dismounted footman. So 25 to 4 is 21 column. Now he's on the slope. He goes. That's a detriment of 1. So he's on the 21 to 30 column that goes down to the 13 to 20 because there's a -1 because he's on the slope. So rolling, and he's still armored. So there's a +1 to this roll. 5 becomes a 6. D1 defender stunned. Okay. Now he's wounded already. I think that actually, going back on that example I read, assessing damage. Character that is wounded or stunned is killed if he receives a wound or stunned result. So a character that is wounded or stunned is killed if he receives a wound or a stunned result. Sorry about this terrain tile keep on coming up. Every time the mouse is hovering on it, it pops up. If it's hovering on a counter, it's okay. But as soon as, yeah, there we go. I'm not sure what to do. It's quite irritating. I don't know why it's coming up now because I'm not even on the tile. That's not even on it. Okay. Anyway, so this guy is killed. Decrease doom. And that's the first of these knights to be taken out. This guy will advance 1 hex. So that wrong way. We can do it that way. And he will go. But he's nicking the news figures there, isn't he? But they're going to move anyway, so this might prevent them escaping. Okay, there we go. Why? Not sure why the stacking doesn't really work too well on. He's either on there. Yeah. All right, okay. Just got to remember he's actually occupying those 2 hexes. This guy here, on this one. So 23v5 takes me to the 18. 18 differential, plus 1 on the dice. That's a 4, becomes a 5. Again. Another D result, 1 defender stunned. He's already wounded. So he goes down. He'll stay where he, yeah, he'll stay where he is. Doesn't need to advance. So, in one fell swoop, 2 of these guys faltered, weakened by javelins, and then taken out by the 2 knights. So, it's still 4 standing, so it's still heading towards a Lombard victory, but I think that, you know, the Germans need to get some more help up there as soon as possible. Okay, any other fighting from the Normans? We've got 2 knights here versus this guy, so 26 and 24 is 50, subtracting 11 is 49 on the mounted column. That's 31 to 50, goes up 1 column, there's 2 mounted guys, he gets mounted, and then it's a +1 because he's armored. 3 becomes a 4, that's a good result. I said earlier that these swings are quite big. H1 rider killed and dismounted. Horse unarmed, unharmed, not unarmed, unharmed. One of these guys can advance up to half his movement, so he'll advance into there, which nudges this horse out the way. Oh, this interface ain't great, I must admit. And then he's going to turn around, so for another 5 movement points. So let's just do that. Ends up that way. Okay. Any others? So v 25 v 12 is 13 differential on the mounted column. +1 on the dice because he's armored. That's a 10. That's actually no result at all. Okay, nothing happens there. And again, 24 to 9. So that's 15. So it's from the 13 to 20 column. +1 because he's still armored. 7 becomes an 8. See, all defenders retreat 1 hex. So he falls back. And he follows up. There you go. Right, so the melee continues. That is the end of the Norman's turn. And that ends turn 3. So turn, oh, stunned Norman, stand up. Any other stuns? No. Right, so moving to turn 4. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Okay, so at the present moment, there's 2 knights, victory knights, effectively down. This is turning into a bloodbath for both sides. And I say the combat is short, sweet, and quick. Yes, is it totally realistic? No, not really. From a realism point of view, I have a few issues with the game system, but you know, when this guy was attacking here, so when this guy here attacked this guy here, he could completely ignore that guy there, which I do have problems with. But without completely rewriting the rules, I think that would make it untenable. Most game systems allow that kind of thing. Maybe you should. I don't know how to comment. It's just the rules are making it look like this guy is just standing there with his thumb in his mouth doing nothing, which obviously is not in reality. But that's the way the game system works. I think that's my main flaw or problem I have with the game. But other than that, I mean, it plays nicely. It plays quick. It's down and dirty. This scenario seems quite balanced at the present moment. We're only a quarter of the way finished, and we've got approximately about a 30% casualty rate. So there's no morale rules. Should there be? Probably. And I think from a solo point, when I was mentioned in the previous episode, if I was to make a solo set of rules, I think I'd definitely bring morale into it to discourage these guys from doing everything they want to do. But there we go. That's the system. Hit the like and if you've enjoyed what you're seeing. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already and you like most of the videos that I do. It'd be much appreciated. And any comments, again, rules-wise, I make errors with, or you can see that I could do better with, just let me know. Any questions about the rules, just ask, not a problem. Until next time, guys.